are live back on the new Cheap Heat Productions Network. My name is Jack Kilby, and I'm very, very happy to welcome tonight a man who is my paisan, my associate,
especially
and my team member now, the ECW legend, Little Guido. Nunzio, welcome to this very special interview.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Want to start off before we get into the nuts and bolts of what we're here to discuss today with your memories, not your memories because it was just a couple days ago, but your experience being back in the former ECW arena for the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance One and Done show. You were, and we'll talk about this more, a surprise for the show. But what was it like coming back and seeing what a legendary locker room full of so many folks that I know you probably likely hadn't seen in a while?
Yeah, definitely a few of them. But as far as going back to the arena, I'm back there every few months. I was just back there in November for WWE, and then a few months before that with all these other companies. So the arena seems like that never goes away. But I always love going back there because every time I say this is probably the last time I'll be back, but I've been saying that for 15 years, and I've been back there hundreds of times. So people are going to keep running that building. But as far as coming back for the TWA show, it was good. It was good. Me personally never really wrestled in TWA, but I wrestled with all those guys. Larry Winters, Tony Stetson, because this was the beginning of when it just turned to Eastern Championship Wrestling, and I was there as Damian Stone. Actually, they showed me on one of the clips, me clocking Tommy Cairo from our first match at that sports bar, but that was Eastern Championship Wrestling. But since that was directly right, months probably, I would say, don't take me verbatim, but it was it just switched to Eastern Championship Wrestling. So Larry Winters and Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody and Donnie Allen and all those guys I got a chance to see this weekend were there. They were part of Eastern Championship Wrestling. So it was great seeing those guys. I never got a chance to work with them in TWA, but I worked against all of them. Jimmy Jannetty, too, was there. So it was good. It was good seeing those guys and stuff, and hopefully they had a good time. Like I said, I've been in that arena a million times since everything. So hopefully everybody had a good night. Some people liked it, some people didn't.
Well, that's I think the way a show is ultimately judged is if the fans had a good time, asked for a refund or not, and they none of them did. And I've got to take a moment to recognize the hard work that Chubby Dudley, Bay Ragney did putting that whole thing together. I mean, if you saw the backstage, it was a lot of people running around doing many things, and Chubby was there directing traffic. Did you see anybody that you hadn't seen in a while back there? Because there were some old Crockett stars and folks there too.
Cut out on me. Oh, some old what stars?
Some Jim Crockett stars. The Rock and Roll Express were there.
Oh yeah, yep. I saw the Rock and Roll, but you know what? I've seen them in the past year a few times. So it's not like I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Alondra Blaze in a very long time. It was actually I only actually met her a couple times, and I got a chance to talk to her. I really don't. I don't know. I don't even think she knew really who I was. But I grew up watching her when she was in WWE in the early '80s. The late '80s, whatever. But Wendy Richter and all that stuff was going on. So it was nice actually seeing her, meeting her. I know her, grew up watching her. But that's it. Yeah, it was good seeing different faces. It was good. Actually, I didn't name him. It was good seeing Chubby Dudley himself. I haven't seen him since the 90s, How did he, how did he have such a big way in it? Because he wasn't in it when it was Joel Goodhart's, was he? Oh, yeah, he was with TWA. Then he became Chubby Dudley. Paul Heyman. What was his name in TWA?
He was one of the Death Riders, was the team that he was in.
Oh, the Death Row. Okay, so yeah, I do remember. What was his partner's name? If you say it, I'm gonna note. Okay, yeah. That's where he came from, and then became Chubby Dudley. Paulie gave him that name. Is that how that worked? Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
Like I said, I never worked at TWA, so I never would have crossed his path until I went to ECW, and he was doing the Chubby Dudley then, because this was the '96 by then. So, and back then, there was really no internet and shit like that. So, if you didn't, I lived in New York. I don't think we never got the TWA TV. I never knew anything of it until Cairo got in touch with me to go down for ECW. I never heard of ECW, and well, it was Eastern because it didn't air in New York until Paul Lee went in there and they started airing all over. So, but yeah, so I didn't know Chubby until I got there. So, but it was great. It was great seeing all the guys. But we were there for a specific reason.
He definitely worked his ass off. And before we talk about that specific reason, just wanted to give you a couple of quick fan questions. One is not a fan. One is Mr. Morris Shorthall, my partner over in the Emerald Isle of Ireland, and he wants to ask you about facing Daniel Bryan in a dark match on Velocity in 2002.
Yeah, I actually that match. I remember that because I did wrestle Dan a couple times before that, indie wise, and I mean, it was a basic match. I totally remember that match. Where was that?
Let me see. He doesn't have it specified. I know it was Velocity though.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I know it too. That was a very long time ago. But I did understand at the time too, and that was fun. Obviously, they had the handcuffs on him as far as they really didn't. They were just bringing him in. They didn't even use him. They used him because he was local, I think there. But it wasn't. He didn't come in to get a job yet. He didn't come in. I think that was a tryouts or wherever it was. But I love Daniel. I mean, I've worked him before. A couple times I would imagine through the year. I'm trying to think, but I do remember a WWE match. But that was a version of quick, 6 minutes. You really, you press for time and everything like that. So great matches would have been from ROH and stuff like that, which I'm not really sure I wrestled him singles in ROH, but
it was in Dallas, Texas, according to Morris.
22 years ago.
In Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And who was our guest referee?
Who?
Miss Jackie. I'm 90% sure.
Wow.
Ask if he remembers that she was in her uniform. Miss Jackie, I believe, was a guest referee on that match.
Sweet. And he's also mentioning that you wrestled Nathan Jones. He got quite the monster push. How was he to work with?
He was all right with me. I mean, if you Google Nunzio versus Nathan Jones, you'll see it. I had my partners with me too, and we did an angle with him actually where we broke his ankle and stuff like that. He was. Our matches are all right because of the size difference, and they only could go a certain way. I hear a lot of people, had a hard time working with him, but if you're trying to build him with the Undertaker or somebody like that, it ain't gonna work out. He couldn't go with guys like the Undertaker, and at that time, I believe they were looking for main event guys to go with the Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. They're big guys, and they needed heels. But I don't think he fit in that category so much. But I mean, he's a great guy. I loved him, and honestly, he never hurt me. I wrestled him a few times. I wrestled him on TV. We did some angles on TV, but I also did some house shows. But again, with the size difference, there's only so much we can do. It's not like, I'm trying to do a main event, 15-minute match at Madison Square Garden, with him. It was always because of the size of his 4 or 5 minutes. And then my partners would come in, jump him, and then we get into a schmaz, and then we'd end up in tags and 6-mans and stuff like that. So Nathan was all right with me, but it's a different type of match with me. And then if he was going to have it with a guy his size, I think he struggled more with guys his size.
And the last fan question is from Ibzan, one of our friends of the show. He's asking about, where did you get the idea for the salute with the hands?
Well, that's an old time. I mean, I never got the idea. I started doing that in '96 with me and JT, and it's not an idea. That's what the Italian people do. It actually means, people come out and do it, but it actually means go to hell. Old school Italians, if they get mad, where they go, it means get out of here, go to hell. So as heels in WWE and ECW back in the '90s, me and JT would come out and we'd do that because, telling everybody to go to hell. That's really what it means. I don't know if people know. And then people would do it back to us. But I guess there's a lot of people out there that I realize that actually just do it, not really even knowing what it really means. But that's an old Italian thing from a long time ago. That's what it is. So it ain't it wasn't something I made up. It's not, I can't take credit when I come out and we do this. Oh, wait, that's Italian people talking with their hands. Oh, you've got to do this. That's the way they talk. So when we were doing promos and we're doing Little Guido, I'm doing the full-blooded Italians. At that time, I'm trying to act Italian and even over the top-ish to make it goofy-ish because we were goofy heels at that time,
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly memorable. And I know the fans in the 2300 arena on Saturday got some of that, but let's peel the curtain back a bit and set the stage for what happened on Saturday for the fans and the critics that weren't aware of what was happening between Chubby Dudley and I. Chubby Dudley changed the rules of engagement on the match that we were going to have at the last minute. He changed it from what was supposed to be a hardcore match to a no gimmicks match. And when I pressed him for that in December, he said anything goes. And he said that he had backup plans or an insurance policy. So me being the suspicious individual that I am, I called you. And what did I say to you at the time? Do you remember?
Well, you said you have an idea. You think it's going to be great. You wanted to run it by me. And you didn't tell me right away. But I don't know what's specific because we talked a lot of stuff. So what'd you tell me?
Well, the issue at hand was that I suspected that Chubby would be not playing by the rules or in the interest of fairness. And sure enough, that's what happened. And I've got some.
That's why we did what we did. Yes. I mean, well, that was our conversation. I didn't know if it was anything specific. Well, of course, you didn't like what he was doing, and you wanted to be a step ahead of him. It's kind of like the mob. That's what we do. When we think somebody's going to kill me, well, we're going to kill you first, and that's the way it goes.
100%. So I never told Chubby. I never told anybody, but we talked, and I arranged to have you come in late before the show and hide out, and it worked out really well. What the fans maybe of Cheap Heat don't realize is you've worked for us in my former company, and we've built a relationship also based on commonalities in our other work spheres. So it was perfect. Nobody suspected it, but I want to show the fans a couple of stills to illustrate why it was a very, very good thing that you did come and do what you did. So we rolled out.
I did want to get on Super Crazy too, because I wrestled him throughout the years, and many times that we had our battles in the ring, in the dressing room, and stuff like that. And I liked the idea when you told me before everybody knew what was going on that we were going to probably turn on him, and I said, you know what, I could do that. So go ahead.
And to be clear, if there were no shenanigans, it was going to be a straight up contest and encounter between Kingpin and Super Crazy. But I knew it would not be a straight up contest, and we'll go through this now. Why we came out. Right off the hop, I started taunting Chubby Dudley and cutting a promo on those fans who couldn't understand why the Kingpin, the King of the Streets, had joined with a Canadian. And I think I explained that. And the fans clearly didn't appreciate it. They were very rude and disrespectful to myself. So they were clearly out for blood. And then lo and behold, the match gets underway. Crazy ends up having an unfortunate fall. Angel gets the advantage on him. And look who came out. Jason Knight, who, without any provocation whatsoever, clotheslined Angel, sent him to his knees. Cheating, of course. That wasn't called for. That wasn't part of any contest the way it was portrayed to me by Chubby. It was going to be straight up. But again, I knew he had an insurance policy. Guess what? Next up, Kid Cash, Who knew that Kid Cash was there? I didn't.
I didn't know he was.
Did you know he was there?
I did not. Not until the last minute. He came running by, and all of a sudden he's on his way to the ring. I'm like, oh, I guess Kid Cash is here.
Yeah, and again, boom, impressive drop kick. I will give him his due. The man has not lost a step, but down goes Kingpin. So at this point, I'm thinking we're in a lot of trouble, and fortunately, I gave you the Iggy before the match that if any sort of shenanigans happen, then I need you to come out and take care of business. But when you came out, my God, the place went banana. The crowd was so happy to see you. You're always really, really well received in that arena in Philly, correct?
Yeah. I've been going wrestling there for over 30 years.
You're a legend there. You came out. You're glad handing with the fans. They're again overjoyed to see you. And here's where we swerved them a bit. I came up to you, said, "What are you doing here? Don't be doing that stuff." You start to bow up to me. I get in your face, and here's the dedication that I have to winning and making sure that we always come out on top. I told you,
I hope I didn't
shot me, and I went down. You didn't hold back on that one, did you?
No, you called that. You said if it comes to it and you have to, give me a low blow. And we didn't know if it was going to come to that. But then the way it looked, I needed to do that to make them think I wasn't on your side. But no, I did not hold back. So I hope your balls are okay.
Well, I wasn't wearing a cup, but amazingly enough, I recovered. I was out for a bit, but then during this time, here's the part that I really, really enjoy. You got up there, crazy, thought that you were there to again cheat. What did you say to him when you got into the ring?
I said it was great to see you. I told him all the things he wanted to hear to make him think I was going to be on his side. And then I told him to go to the top. I knew he was going to go to the top because he wanted to do something else, and that's one of his go-tos, the triple flip. I think that's what he was going to do. And I knew it was the perfect time for me to turn on him when he wasn't looking.
And as you can see there, he completely trusted you. You nailed him. He went down. Here you are. Did you give him a shot to the family jewels there, or what were you doing there? Was that just a straight kick to the solar plexus?
When he fell, I just started putting the boot to him a little bit. He was on the ground. Looks like I'm going to kick him there, but I didn't kick him until he fell. He's falling back. Once he hit the canvas, I gave him a couple more kicks.
Excellent. And then the coup de grace. What made you choose this maneuver to even the score, so to speak, in that match?
All my ECW matches versus Super Crazy and Tajiri, whether it's singles, doubles, that was my finishing move. I've hit Super Crazy with that move many times. He knew about it, and that was even worse. Hit him, and he was vulnerable at the time because he was already beat up. So it was easy. He couldn't even try to fight out of it, So I think I a move that he's been hit with before.
And never, if memory serves me correct, in ECW, even when he was the TV champion and all the great wars that you had, you really came out on top in those the vast majority of the time, correct?
Well, no, I don't say the vast majority of the time. It was more Super Crazy and Tajiri, and then they added me in later on. And yeah, I've had a bunch of victories, yes, 100%. But I wouldn't say majority of the time.
Fair enough. You're always honest, and that's why I'm glad to have you in this encounter. And then, as we saw, they say turnabout is fair play. Angel, you helped Angel get on Crazy, and it was a no gimmicks match, which means no disqualifications, anything goes. You what did Angel think, just out of curiosity, when you were there to put him on Crazy?
Well, I don't think he knew that I was going to be there, so he didn't know that. And then when I, he kind of was just looking around after I started beating up on Crazy, and then I just grabbed him and said, "Come on, get on top." and then that was it. So I was kind of looking in amazed, because he wasn't part of knowing I was going to be there.
And then the 1, 2, 3, the Kingpin overcame the odds. I mean, anybody that says that we acted in a skullduggerous manner in this match is clearly wrong, because turnabout is fair play. And there he's giving you the big hug, and I drag myself up from my position on the floor, and we celebrate. The crowd really crapped on you at this point, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think they wanted that. I think they were happy. I got a nice reaction, I think, when I came out. And, I just didn't think they expected that. I don't think they expected that. And, that was the whole idea of it as well. That comes with part of the job. We knew we had to go there. We went there for a reason. We were on a mission when we got there. And I think the mission was accomplished.
100%. There you are, telling them to go to hell. And perhaps the best moment of the night, aside from the victory, is we had an extended celebration. And do you remember what you said to me at this point that really warmed the cockles of my heart, so to speak? Do you remember what you said there?
No, so I probably remember when you tell me. We said a lot.
You said it's about time that the FBI had a Canadian member.
Oh, yeah, because you're our first Canadian. We had many different members, but we never had a Canadian member.
I am truly, truly honored, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much. You're well deserved. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there.
I will treasure that moment for a long time. And then we're leaving. The crowd were really, really, really crapping on us, which was music to our ears. And then one last celebratory moment. It was exactly the way that I envisioned it to be. Now, as a point of clarification, though, we were not going to just run out and break the rules if the odds were fair. But fortunately, Chubby's a very what's the word that I want to say? You can read Chubby very easily, and he basically telegraphed that this was not going to be a fair situation. So you always have to come prepared. What when it was all said and done, were you proud to have been instrumental in that victory against such terrible odds, such unfair odds?
Yeah, that's why I didn't mind doing it. If it was fair, I wouldn't do it. If it was fair and then me making it unfair, then that's a little different. I was just trying to help in case somebody got screwed over. So when I first got to Philly, you told me, you said, just wait outside, hang out. You might not have to do anything. There was a chance, and you were inside talking business and doing what you had to do. So I was waiting on your call. Otherwise, if I might not come in the building. If you would have called me, I would have got right back over the bridge. Walt Whitman Bridge and back to New York, but it didn't work out like that, unfortunately.
No, or let's say this, fortunately, because otherwise it could have been a completely different situation. And I know you know the Kingpin very well. The Kingpin does not like to lose. He's really a person that prides himself on being the best that he can be. And we ensured that record is even in the last couple of years, he hasn't lost a match, and we ensured that would happen. Now, super crazy following the match. I know backstage made some comments. He was dejected. You should have seen the boo-boo face that he had in the back. It was like,
you know what? I'm sorry to cut you up, but I understand that, and I figured he was going to be. So I didn't stick around afterwards. I knew there was, he wasn't going to be happy, and I just, once we did what we did, it was just time to get out of there, and I wasn't going to wait around for him to come back.
He for some reason is of the view that we screwed him, despite the other two run-ins and attacks at the time.
He was guilty by association. It wasn't all about him, but you know what? That's what we had to do, and he was in the way.
And now he's, I'm hearing behind closed doors is saying that he wants revenge on our unit, and that would be in the form of, I guess he wants both you and Kingpin in the ring again, and that would be a tag team situation. I'm not sure who he'd get for a partner, but would you be willing to take him up on that challenge and team with the Kingpin and hopefully shut his mouth for the very last time?
Well, you know what? Since we kind of screwed him over, and he was kind of guilty by association, being in the whole thing, I could understand him being upset. And if he wanted to do a tag match, I wouldn't be opposed to it. We would have to talk business and all that stuff, and speak. But if it gets to that point and that match arises, we don't know who his partner would be.
Not yet. Not yet.
So am I opposed to it? I would definitely think about doing the match if he wanted to get a little revenge, because I could understand.
That's very, very generous of you, and I appreciate it. This is again why you are a quality human being and a quality individual. What I would suggest would happen is that the fans that are following Cheap Heat Productions stay tuned, because we got a lot of stuff in the works. We're starting anew. There will be a new company forthcoming. This is an exclusive right here on this interview. There will be a new company forthcoming for the former Great North Wrestling Circuit. We're going to look at a lot of big things in the future, and what I would like to have on the very first show would be that tag match. So I know you're always in shape, you're always ready to go. I want to thank you for what you did on Saturday, and know that this is not the end. It's only the beginning.
All right. Well, I'll be there. Let's go day by day and let's see how it goes. We'll see what Crazy does. Let's see him, what he says, and if he's up for a revenge, I guess you could say. Let me know and we could talk.
Well, again, I appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be the first Canadian member of the FBI. And just so you know, you are now also a charter member of my stable, the Big Money Players, with Kingpin, Angel Medina. And I think the sky is the limit for this partnership. I will absolutely be in touch, and we will keep the fans apprised to any developments as they arise. Before I let you go and we shut this down, do you have any closing thoughts on not only the match and what we just talked about, but the event itself? I know there's a lot of nostalgia for ECW, and it was in the building itself, but I thought that TWA, excellent card from top to bottom. They got an appropriate send off as well.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they do. I can't say how they feel. It was a great idea. Some people liked the show. Obviously, some people hated the way it went. And that's just the way it is. Hopefully for those guys, they had their send off. It was really a night for them. I know there was a lot of other guys that didn't belong there, so to say. But you know what? A lot of the guys from TWA, I think, were not around anyway. A couple of them passed. I think they needed some maybe fillers, maybe too many fillers. But I wasn't the booker. I really didn't know what the show looked like. I just knew what we were gonna, what we were doing. I didn't know who was gonna be there until me getting there and seeing everybody. So I had nothing to do with that part. I had something to do with our part. That's it. So hopefully those guys got a good send off, well deserved, and hopefully they had a good night.
And history was made in many aspects. Most importantly for us, a pinfall victory by the Kingpin over Super Crazy. Guido, I want to thank you for coming on for this interview tonight, and we will be in touch.
Thank you. Talk to you.
Well, fans, that was certainly interesting. I want to give you a programming note. For those of you watching live on May the 7th, I will be doing an interview with Chubby Dudley himself, Bay Ragney, to run down the whole series of events behind the scenes on TWA One and Done. That will be happening next week. Watch for it. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to Cheap Heat Productions. Like these videos. It really helps us out with the algorithm, and hit the notification button so that you don't miss any of the quality programming that we have coming your way. And it is the new Cheap Heat. We're just getting started. I'm Jack Kilby. Thank you for watching.